Welcome to Master Your Money, Budgeting, Saving, and Debt-Free Living. I'm your host, Nate Tanner. On this show, we use the Triggator philosophy to help you build a spending plan that fits your life, build your savings and investments, and knock out debt with confidence. Today, we're diving into one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make: buying a home or upgrading the one that you've got. Now, if you've been scrolling Zillow lately or binge watching those HGTV Reno shows, you're not alone. With housing prices still sky high and interest rates doing their best to impersonate a mountain range, a lot of people are feeling that itch. Should we buy now? Should we upgrade? Or are we about to bite off more than our triangle can chew? This episode isn't a should I rent or buy debate. It's not about selling you on real estate as an investment or convincing you to wait for some mythical market crash. It's about clarity. Because the pressure to buy or to upgrade is real. Your friends are doing it, your in-laws are asking, and your social feed is full of people posting just closed, #blessed, #homeowners club. But here's what we believe at Triggator. Homeownership is not a milestone of maturity, it's a mission of alignment. And if your spending plan and your triangle, budget, save, pay off debt, aren't strong, buying a home can actually set you back, not move you forward. In this episode, we're going to cover what the current housing market looks like and how to read between the headlines, why rushing into a mortgage or a move can sabotage your triangle, what real financial readiness looks like before you sign on the dotted line, and how to use the Triggator approach to prepare for homeownership with calm, not chaos. So whether you're thinking about leaving rent behind or leveling up your current digs, this episode is here to help you make the move when the math, mindset, and mission align. Let's make sure your home dreams don't become a financial nightmare. Let's get into it. Market pressure and mortgage myths. Let's talk about the dream that sells itself. You're throwing away money on rent. Real estate is always a good investment. Buy now before prices go up even more. Any of those sound familiar? Between headlines about market spikes and social media timelines filled with house keys and hashtags, it can feel like you're falling behind if you don't own a home, or if you haven't upgraded yours yet. But let's hit pause and look at what is really going on. The current housing landscape. According to Zillow's May 2025 report, the average home price in the U.S. is over $360,000. And in many metro areas, that number is far higher. Add in interest rates hovering around 7%, and your monthly payment on even a modest home can rival luxury rent. And let's not forget that inventory crunch. Redfin reports that new listings are down nearly 20% year over year, meaning more buyers are chasing fewer homes, often driving up prices or settling for less. It's a seller's market nationally, but that doesn't mean it's a smart buyer's market. The mortgage myth machine. Here's one of the biggest myths out there. Buying a home is always better than renting. Like many myths, there's a grain of truth. Buying can be better than renting, but buying into the idea that it's always better, that's the thinking that helped fuel the housing crisis of the late 2000s. Let's be clear, homeownership is great when you're ready. But when it comes too soon, it can be a triangle killer. You take on a mortgage you're not ready for, and suddenly your budget is blown because you didn't account for insurance, property taxes, maintenance, or that $4,200 HVAC replacement. Your savings is drained because you dumped your entire emergency fund into closing costs and a couch that doesn't even fit right. Your debt payoff stalls because you're now house poor and every dollar is tied up in flooring and fixtures instead of freedom. Owning a home can absolutely be a step forward, but only if your foundation is strong. The emotional cost of rushing. Home buying pressure doesn't just come from data, it comes from emotion. It's that friend who says, "I locked in a deal you wouldn't believe." It's your parents hinting, "When I was your age, we already had a mortgage and 2 kids." It's the internal voice whispering, "If you wait too long, you'll never be able to afford anything." But buying a house out of fear or because you think it's what you're supposed to do is like marrying someone just because all your friends are engaged. As the great Ted Lasso might say, all people are different people. So if you're going to make a big decision, make sure it fits you. Renting isn't failure. It can be strategy. Let's de-shame this for a minute. Renting doesn't always mean you're irresponsible. It doesn't necessarily mean you're wasting money. And it definitely doesn't mean you're behind. I want to take a quick minute to address the idea that renting is wasting money. This is again something that has a grain of truth, but it can lead to big problems. The reason people say rent is wasting money is because when you pay a mortgage, your principal goes down and your equity goes up. That's true. This, of course, does not happen while renting. With rent, your money workers are building someone else's equity. With a mortgage, more and more of them eventually start building yours. However, if you're renting while you're stacking an emergency fund, building an alligator savings for future home repairs and maintenance, paying off high-interest debt, and preparing for a down payment, then guess what? You're not falling behind, you're planning ahead. You're buying peace now so that you can buy a home without panic later. The Triggator truth. Your spending plan should drive your timeline, not market fear, not peer pressure, and definitely not interest rate headlines. Because if buying a home means blowing up your triangle just to keep up with the neighbors, that's not progress. That's pressure wearing a mortgage mask. We don't want to just buy a house. We want to build a home with margin, stability, and joy. So before you scroll that listing one more time, take a deep breath and ask, does this support my triangle or does it stress it? What's next? In the next section, we'll talk about what real financial readiness looks like the Triggator way, because buying a home shouldn't be a leap of panic. It should be a step that aligns with your values, your plan, and your peace of mind. How to know when you're really ready. Let's say the pressure hasn't gotten to you. You've taken a deep breath, turned out the noise, and are ready to ask the real question. Am I actually ready to buy or upgrade to a bigger home? That right there, that's a financially mature question. It's not, can I afford the monthly payment? It's, does this fit into my spending plan, my triangle, my real life? Because readiness isn't just about qualifying for a mortgage. It's about building a home that supports your financial peace, not sabotages it. So let's walk through what real readiness looks like using the Triggator framework. 1. Your income is predictable and sustainable. Let's start with this foundation. Are your paychecks reliable? That doesn't mean your income has to be huge. It means it's steady enough that you can reasonably forecast it for the next 12 months of your budget. Homeownership is a long game, and it comes with long-term responsibilities. If your income fluctuates wildly or you're between gigs, this might not be the moment to lock yourself into a 15 or 30-year contract. Ask yourself, can I consistently cover my current bills, savings goals, and debt payments? Is my job stable? Do I have a backup plan if that changes? If not, focus on income stability first. Build the runway before you try to take off. 2. Your alligator fund is alive and well. Homeowners don't get to call the landlord when things break. You are the landlord. That means your alligator fund, those bite-sized savings accounts for irregular expenses, has to be in fighting shape. Here are just a few gators that will show up more often than you'd think. Property taxes. Many people forget that they're not necessarily included. Homeowners insurance premium increases. Appliance replacements. Lawn care, pest control, plumbing issues, HOA fees. And then there's the big 3, roof, HVAC, water heater. A survey by HomeAdvisor in 2024 found that the average homeowner spends about $2,000 per year on maintenance alone, not including upgrades or surprise repairs. If your current alligator fund can't handle that yet, that's a signal. Build your gator buffer before adding more surface area. 3. Have a solid emergency fund, not just a down payment. A lot of people save aggressively for the down payment and then show up at closing completely tapped out. That is dangerous. Before you sign anything, make sure you still have a separate emergency fund. Ideally, you should be in the 3 months of expenses ballpark, well on your way towards 6. Because owning a home doesn't protect you from life's curveballs. If anything, it magnifies them. Remember, kids don't schedule broken bones. Cars don't care if you just closed on a house. An emergency fund lets you own your home with peace of mind, not panic. 4. You can handle the full monthly cost, not just the mortgage. This is where a lot of online calculators let you down. They show you the principal and interest, but they forget the rest of the iceberg. Property taxes, insurance, PMI or private mortgage insurance, and that applies if your down payment is under 20%. Utilities, usually higher in owned homes. Lawn care, trash, other maintenance. Add it up, compare it to your current housing costs. Does it still fit? If the number makes you sweat, you're not ready. That doesn't mean you won't be, it just means you got a little more prep to do. 5. You're not just tired of renting, you're ready for the work. Let's be honest, renting does have a few little perks. It has predictable payments, minimal maintenance, and flexibility to move. Homeownership, it brings pride, yes, but it also brings projects, repairs, and late night Google searches like how to fix a toilet that screams when it's flushed. If you're only thinking about what you'll gain and not what you'll be taking on, you may not be mentally ready. Homeownership is awesome. It's also a job. Make sure you're hiring yourself on purpose. The Triggator mindset shift from house to home. There's one more sign you're ready, and it's a mindset shift. You're not buying to impress others. You're buying to invest in peace, roots, and purpose. You're not shopping based on what the bank says you can afford. You're planning based on what your triangle says you should afford. Price tags are loud. Peace is quiet. The Triggator way says own what supports your life, not what hijacks it. That's how you turn a house into a home. Here's a bonus tip. Try the mortgage rehearsal. If you're still not sure if you're ready, try this. Research the total cost of your potential future home, whether that's a new home or an upgrade. We're talking mortgage, taxes, insurance, maintenance, all of those things that we just talked about. Now, subtract your current rent from that amount. And for the next 3 to 6 months, pretend you're already paying it by moving the difference into a future homeowner fund. If you can do that without strain, you might be ready. If it feels tight or impossible, you just saved yourself from a financial faceplant. In the next section, we'll explore your options in today's market, because being ready doesn't always mean waiting for the perfect storm in the market. Sometimes it means choosing the right next step. Interest rates, timing, and options in today's market. Let's talk about something that's stressing a lot of would-be home buyers: interest rates. They're higher than they've been in a while. We all know it. The average 30-year mortgage rate is currently hovering around 7%, depending on your credit, loan type, and region. That feels high, especially if your friends locked in a 3% rate back in 2020 and haven't stopped bragging about it since. But let's zoom out just a little bit. Historical perspective, rates in context. From 2010 to 2020, the average mortgage rate was about 4.1%. That is a historic low stretch. But let's go back a little further. In the 1970s, the average rates were around 8.9%. In the 1980s, they soared, averaging 12.7% with peaks above 18%. Even in the 90s, rates hovered around 8%. So yes, rates feel high compared to the last decade. But in the full game of real estate history, we're somewhere in the middle of the pack. But Nate, you say, my parents were born in the 70s and early 80s. What does this mean for me? Well, first, your parents are awesome. Second, it means this moment isn't a financial apocalypse. It's a reminder that interest rates change, but your readiness matters more than the rate. Let's look through a few scenarios. Scenario 1, the 1960s wait. Let's say someone in the late 1960s decided to wait for mortgage rates to drop. Spoiler alert, they would have waited over 30 years until the early 2000s. If your strategy is to wait for the perfect rates, just know you might be waiting through 2 recessions, a tech boom, a housing crash, a pandemic, and 3 Taylor Swift eras. Scenario 2, the 2010s wait. Okay, let's wargame a different version. Rates do drop. Let's say in 6 to 12 months, we see a dip back into the 5s or even the high 4s. Great, right? Well, now everyone who is waiting jumps into the market all at once. Inventory's already tight, so what happens when the demand spikes? Home prices climb. Again. Bidding wars return. Again. You end up paying more for less house and scrambling to compete with 15 other offers. A low rate might mean a higher price tag, and often that means we're just swapping one pressure for another. Scenario 3, ride the wave. Now let's talk about what happens if your triangle is solid and you're ready now. You buy the house at today's rate, not because you're trying to time the market, but because your plan is ready. Here's what you get. First, less competition means less chaos. Many buyers are sidelined right now due to rate fear. That means fewer bidding wars, more time to think clearly, more room to negotiate things like price, repairs, and closing costs. And that, my friend, means less emotional buying, a core Triggator win. Second, rate flexibility later. What happens if rates do go down? Boom, you refinance. Let's say you get a 7% today. If you're building equity and rates drop 5% in a year or two, you refi, ideally to a shorter term, and potentially save thousands. If rates go up, well, now you really love that 7% that you're locked into. You're not at the mercy of whatever comes next. You made a move when you were ready, not when headlines told you. Third, equity starts building now. Here's something rarely said out loud. Waiting to buy when you're already ready can cost you more than buying at a higher rate. Why? Because every month you wait is a month of rent with no return. A month you're not building equity. A month you're not planting financial roots. If your triangle is strong, your budget is solid, your savings are stacked, and your debt is under control, then waiting just to wait might stall your long-term progress. Consider other paths too. Still feel unsure? That's okay. There's no shame in waiting strategically while building your triangle. Here are some smart alternate plays. Boost your down payment to shrink your loan. Adjust your price range to keep margin in your spending plan. Improve your current space. Paint, declutter, rearrange to buy some time. Build a future homeowner fund and practice the new payments in advance. The key is this: you don't have to buy right now, but you also don't have to wait just because rates feel a little off. Triggator isn't about market timing. It's about triangle alignment. Here's a bit of Triggator wisdom. Markets shift, rates change, but peace, that comes from preparation. The only perfect time to buy a home is when your spending plan, your savings, and your goals say it's time. So whether you buy this year, next year, or 5 years from now, make sure it's not fear driving the decision. Let your plan drive the purchase. Today's challenge. So if you're thinking about buying or upgrading a home, here's your challenge. Run your own Triggator housing readiness checklist. Check your income. Is it stable and sustainable? Audit your alligator fund. Are you prepared for home ownership bites? Evaluate your emergency fund. Would buying wipe it out? List the full monthly cost of your future home, not just the mortgage. Ask, why now? Is this decision based on panic, pressure, or a solid plan? If your answers show cracks, don't panic. Just pause, keep stacking, keep saving, and keep working your triangle. Your time will come. Let's keep the conversation going. If you've got a home buying story, good or bad, I'd love to hear it. Send me an email at podcast@Triggator.com. Be sure to subscribe, review, and share this podcast with someone who's thinking about diving into the housing market without checking their plan first. And don't forget to follow @Triggator on Instagram, X, and Facebook for more financial clarity, memes, and motivational nudges delivered straight to your feed. Coming up on the next show, the Fun Fund. Why joy belongs in your spending plan. Tired of treating your budget like a punishment? In this next episode, we're talking about joy and how to plan for it without guilt. You'll learn why adding fun to your spending plan isn't just allowed, it's essential. We'll cover how to build a fun fund into your triangle and give you real-life ways to spend with joy and purpose. Budgeting isn't about restriction, it's about freedom. Let's bring back the fun. Remember, buy the house when your plan says yes, not when the market dares you to. Thanks for listening to Master Your Money, Budgeting, Saving, and Debt-Free Living. I'm your host, Nate Tanner. We'll see you next time.